Okay, this is for Stories from River Road. We're at January 6, 2025 already. And I'd like to read something to you tonight this is for my favorite teacher in Lake City, okay? She sent me a nice Christmas card and said they were so looking forward to the podcast in 2025. So that means we have to keep on doing them at least one more year. So anyway, this is for my favorite teacher in Lake City. And it's a Christmas story, but it fits right in. And Christmas did come. When the morning was come, the teacher drew his children about him to teach them, for the time was late, and there was much for them to learn. And he said, We must work diligently, for behold, Christmas vacation is nigh at hand, and thou wilt forget much after thy journey forth. And then a decree went out from the principal, that inasmuch as it was the last day of the school month, the attendance report must be made and in the office by the 3rd hour. And he set forth the pupils to their seats and gave them busy work to do. And whereupon he began to make out the report. And one pupil held up his hand and cried, Thou hast not taken our ice cream money. Then did the teacher lay aside his report and say, Will those who want ice cream come hither? And many children came forward and began to lay money on his desk. And he turned to the one and asked, Dost thou have ice cream money? And he shook his head. And the teacher cried out in a loud voice, Then why did you come forward? And the child said in a small voice, Because Billy did. And when the teacher had received all the money, he counted it and found that he had a quarter more than he needed. And the teacher wept. And the door opened, and a big brother did come in with 94 cents picture money, for they had all had their pictures taken at school. But not precisely 94 cents was in the envelope, because it was a $1 bill. And the wise mother had written, The change from this is for ice cream. Then did the teacher err indeed, for he took out his own billfold to make change, and became utterly lost. But he returned to his attendance report and did complete it, and the daily reports did equal the monthly report. And the teacher lifted up his eyes unto heaven and rendered thanks. And then he took the report to the office. And it came to pass that when the teacher returned to the room, a little child came to him and said, I am sick, and did therefore prove that she was. And the teacher sent for one child to find the janitor, and did himself go with the sick child to call her mother and send her home. And when this was done, the teacher thought, This changes my attendance. And he went forth to the office and corrected the report. And when he returned, a boy said, You have not heard our class read. And he spoke the truth, for the teacher had not heard any class at all. So he drew the children about him to read. But then a decree went out from the principal that all in Act 1 of the Christmas play should come immediately to the auditorium to practice. And anger waxed within the teacher, but he spoke not a word, but sent 10 of his members forth, although he feared that 3 of which he sent were really in Act 2. And as they departed, a boy entered the room and said, Hath anyone lost a mitten? And the teacher cried out unto him, Get thee out of here, for thou knowest that thou should take mittens to the office. For the teacher knew him and his works, and what manner of boy he was. Thou dost not desire in thine heart to restore the mitten to its rightful owner, but only to take pleasant trips around this our school and get out of doing thy work. And the boy departed, and after he had gone, a child said in a small voice, That was my mitten. And the teacher went with haste after the boy and got the mitten. And then he returned, and the recess bell rang. And the teacher was glad, and he said in a loud voice, Do not run, neither push nor shove any of thy little friends. Do not get into any trouble on the playground, for verily I am going to sit down and rest. My heart is heavy, and I was called to teach you, and I have not taught you. Then did the child say, Lo, I have lost my lunch money. And the teacher cried, Oh no, I have lost my mind. And every one of the things that is in that little story has happened to me and many elementary teachers, I'm sure. And the worst thing you can do is start making change out of your own pocket, because then you are truly lost. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we will see you again next week, okay?